All right, we are live. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back into another Patriots Beat podcast here on the CLNS Media Network, presented by our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks. It is Brian Hines back with Alex Barth. As always, as we are officially less than 1 week away from the 2024 NFL Draft. I guess 1 week away from day 2 of the NFL Draft, but
Yep. A week from now,
we
we'll know. We'll
we will
know
know.
who
We'll have a
the
first round
answer to the
pick.
number 3 question.
We'll have a first round pick. Maybe we'll have a
That's
quarterback
right.
or a boatload of first round picks.
That's right.
We'll see. But yeah, we spoke to Patriots director of scouting, de facto general manager Eliot Wolf yesterday down at Gillette Stadium for that annual kind of pre-draft press conference. He hit on a lot of stuff, the quarterbacks, maybe a potential trade down, some thoughts on the roster as a whole, where it's at right now. But so we'll break down some of those, details, get into a little bit what he said. But I guess from the start, was there any like kind of big picture takeaway from you, or how do you think he handled the situation? Or was there anything that like really stood out to you before kind of the nitty gritty details about what he got into about the draft?
I think the consistent message since Mayo's introductory press conference, we're going back months now, has been, when it comes to the draft, has been we're not closing any doors. All options are on the table. We're not handcuffing ourselves to any one specific plan. Now, obviously, eventually they'll have to make a decision. And the thing about being at 3 is, and Wolf kind of talked about this yesterday, there's not that many different scenarios you have to prepare for because there's just most of the players are going to be on the board no matter what. But, he talked about trading down. He said that the first pick doesn't have to be a quarterback. He'd be comfortable with it. And then he kind of hinted it would be, but he said the first pick doesn't have to be a quarterback. He said, and I don't agree with this, but he said he feels they did a good enough job in free agency supplementing their roster that they're not locked in. They don't have to lock themselves into certain positions in certain places in the draft. It just feels like it's all on the table still, and they haven't narrowed anything down that specifically yet.
Yep. Kind of left all doors open, all paths, avenues open for them to
Right.
kind of figure out over these next few days before round one on Thursday. But I guess we could start with those quarterbacks. He said it was kind of a unique year getting to learn these guys. He specifically said, getting the input of their college teammates and learning about how, like the toughness, the leadership of these quarterbacks. So he said it was a unique year from that perspective. And he said the top 6 guys. So you assume that's the big 4 with Caleb, May, McCarthy, and Jaden Daniels. And then
Yeah.
the 6 would probably be Michael Penix and Bo Nix, since they showed some interest in those guys. So 6 guys are on the radar. We know they met with, 4 of them. They went to Caleb Williams and Bo Nix's pro day as well, but
Right.
they're looking at
Well,
it as kind of at 6, it seems like.
and do you remember what Gerard Mayo said at the annual meetings last month?
5 to 6.
5. He said 5. He didn't say 5, 6. He said 5.
I
And then
thought he
what
threw
happened?
5 and 6 in there, like
He
on a
said 5.
correction later.
He said the top 4 or 5.
Oh, it was 4 or 5? Okay.
Yeah. And then what happened between Gerard Mayo saying 5 and Eliot Wolf saying 6?
They met with Michael Penix.
Correct. I thought that doesn't mean they're drafting Michael Penix. I just think that's interesting. I think it's they're considering more of a real proposition now than maybe they were a month ago.
So, yeah, that was interesting. He said, as you kind of mentioned in the beginning, it doesn't have to be the first pick, that the quarterback, like they don't have to use their first pick on that position, but they
But then
would be.
everything he said afterwards sounded like somebody who's planning on
But
drafting a
yeah, he's
quarterback.
like they would be comfortable taking one. He believes that whichever one, or the options of the group there that will be available at number 3. You assume,
Yeah.
Caleb Williams won't be there, and whoever goes number 2. He said whatever group is left, we're going to be comfortable taking one of those quarterbacks with the pick. If that's the route we go, it doesn't have to be that. So I don't know. It still seemed a lot of like, we're going to pick a quarterback. We like this group a lot. It's a talented, deep group, and they're comfortable doing it. So it still seems like number 3, there's probably going to be a quarterback.
Yeah, it still definitely feels that way.
But does it change your mind at all that he says they're 6? He says they're still open for business. We can talk about his trade talks too. Like,
Yeah, so I think a trade down's more like, so all right, let me rephrase that. I still think it's a quarterback with the top pick.
Where's the top pick, though?
Right. I can't shake that idea that maybe they go to 6. I don't think they're going to 11. I think it's 6. I think it's going to be quarterback, whatever their first pick off the board is. The guy that goes up. Well, if they take 2 first-round picks, they both go out for the event with Kraft on Friday. But I think the top pick's a quarterback. It's just a matter if it's at 3 or if they move down.
Or, I mean, they could. He said they'd get aggressive if on the board. Maybe they go to 11 and then they shoot back up with 11,
or yeah, something
34.
They're not
something.
picking at 11. I don't think they're picking that low. They're going to pick in the top. Call it 8
if they want one of those quarterbacks. But yeah, he says it's a group of 6, and he said they're open for business. Trading down, he said we're open to anything. Moving up, moving down, we're open for business in the first round and every round. We still have some holes we feel like we need to fill in the draft, and we are a draft and develop team. The more picks we have, the better. Kind of similar to what Gerard Mayo said at the meetings last month, that the more picks you have, the better. So I don't know if they like 6 quarterbacks and they're open to trading down. Maybe that path does kind of exist where you trade down a few spots and you're still going to get one of these guys you like, while also you get that bag, so to say, with all these extra first round picks coming in as compensation.
Right. I still think I think they're going to trade down. Gut check, I still think they take quarterback at 3. I think they move down later, probably from 34, but they haven't done anything to totally rule that out. Like, I can't dismiss the idea that they're going to move down. It feels more likely now than it did maybe a month ago.
Do you think there's one guy that if he's not there at 3, like say Drake May goes 2, like that would incline them more to trade down? Do you think they have kind of a leader in the clubhouse where they're like, if he's not there, we have the rest of this group maybe grouped together a little bit more, then we can trade down?
I almost hope so, because the old approach was quarterbacks are quarterbacks. They're all the same. We can win with any of them. It's the system. And that would be like trading down. I really hope they're looking at at least one of these guys and saying, yeah, this guy has elite potential. He's different. It's not, we're just going to get a quarterback to fill in the role. No. This guy can be a total game changer for us.
Yep. Do you think that's May or Daniels, if you had to guess?
For them, I think it's May. I mean, Gerard Mayo said at the owners' meetings, he said he has no ceiling. As in, like, there's limitless. Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see. Again, the unique year, top 6 quarterbacks still open for business, kind of trade down. I thought those were the big 2 points. Obviously, it seems like with this 3rd pick, even though we said it doesn't have to be a quarterback, or the first pick doesn't have to be a quarterback, it still seems like we're headed either quarterback or kind of trade down. So those were kind of his main comments on those 2 points.
One more on the quarterbacks I thought was interesting. He got asked about age, and obviously there's a wide range of ages of these quarterbacks, and he said it doesn't matter, which if just as we try to narrow down what we think they will do, that's useful information. Nobody's too young, nobody's too old. They're looking at the individual situations.
Yep. Yeah, he said that's obviously a long-term position, a long-term investment, right? You want to project these guys for how they'll be down the line as well as year one. But age, he said age doesn't play too big of a factor in what they're doing. He doesn't think any of these guys where they're at now are like maxed out, hitting their ceiling. Age doesn't play that big of a factor in that decision. So anything else quarterback trade related wise? He did say move up and down the board. So maybe they are looking to that, 34, move back up into the late part of the first round. If one of those tackles or one of those receivers they like starts to slide. But anything else in that department you had of note?
I think they're going to be jumping all over the board. I think there are going to be a lot of trades. Because, again, I think they want to add more picks.
I was going to say more or less than the 8 picks they have right now. You're going over?
I'm going over. I think it's going to end up being like 10.
So a couple trade downs.
Yeah. A couple trade downs or one bigger trade down.
So 34 or 68 then. what would you? I mean, it depends how the board falls,
I
obviously.
move down from 34. So if people want to check out 985thesportshub.com, I published something yesterday where I looked at every trade made where one of the Patriots' current assigned picks or a pick right around it was the main pick or a main pick involved in the deal in the last 6 years. That's 78 trades. And so I kind of got to look at what teams are giving up in this range, what teams are getting in these ranges. Again, I did it for all 8 picks. I mean, there's not that many trades where 231 is the primary pick, and of the ones that were, they're not the kind of trades the Patriots are going to make. It's basically just flipping 231 for future picks straight up. But I look at 34 in the value in that pick. You can get significant value back from that. You can get 2, even 3 picks back, even when adding a top 100 pick. So, for instance, in 2021, Panthers traded 39 to the Bears for 52, 83, and 204. So you add that extra top 100, you add 2 picks total. Something like that could make a ton of sense. I look at that as the prime spot to move down.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's your most valuable pick, obviously, besides number 3. So we had a few of that in our mock drafts. I think, with Green Bay was kind of a popular one. You move down 7, 8 spots into the low 40s. You can pick up another top 100 pick, maybe another a late round pick. So you can kind of restock your capital that way. So, but again, it depends how the board shakes out, right? If maybe Tyler Guyton falls to 34 and they love Tyler
Right.
Guyton, they had him in for a visit. Maybe they love his potential at tackle, pick him and don't even mess around with the trade down. So it depends how the board shakes out there. But I mean, I guess speaking of the quarterback, speaking of the roster, Eliot Wolf kind of defended his offense, kind of, said he was kind of blatantly asked, is this a good situation for a rookie quarterback to be kind of plugged into, which is a narrative a lot of people like to talk about. He said he doesn't read a lot into that storyline. He doesn't even know what that means. He said they have a solid offensive line. We re-signed Michael Winu. We have David Andrews. He noted the 3 rookies that they drafted last year are developing. Chuck Okorafor, they signed. He said we have Hunter Henry, a good tight end, a good running game, a solid foundation, and a solid system in place with Coach Van Pelt on offense. I definitely feel like we could support a rookie quarterback. That was what Wolf said about the offense. So I kind of agree with him that I don't like that narrative that a team can't support a rookie quarterback, because if you get the right quarterback, like no one was pumping the Texans tires last year saying like
Right.
they're such a great offense. All you need is the quarterback, right? Like they got the right quarterback in CJ Stroud and it made everything look better. It made everything work. But do you agree with his kind of assessment on how the offense is looking here with, NFL wide receivers, NFL linemen, as he was saying?
Yes and no. I've kind of said this about the Patriots receivers. I think they're really good complementary players. And he kind of talked about this too. Taylor Kyles actually asked him about this. They're good complementary players. I'm not going to push back on that, but that only gets you so far. You still need that coverage dictating wide receiver, that backside 3x1 receiver that they don't have, that Wolf said they don't have. I do think what he said about the offensive line is very interesting for 2 reasons. It does sound like Chuks Okorafor is going to be a left tackle. I've said my piece on that. I don't love that idea. I get he played left tackle in college, but it's been 6 years. Don't really like. I think that's a risk. I'd like to have as a plan B. It's not a bad idea. I hate it as a plan A. The other thing, you kind of read through that quote there, specifically when he talks about the offensive line. He says, we have a solid offensive line. We re-signed Mike Onwenu. We have David Andrews coming back. 3 rookies, being Jake Andrews, Antonio Mafi, City So, that were drafted last year. We also signed a core 4 from the Steelers. Who didn't he mention?
Cole Strange.
Right. I think Cole Strange's job maybe isn't a lock. It's a new regime, coaching, front office than the one that drafted him. He dealt with a ton of injuries last year. He's had a couple of games where he's flashed, but for the most part, his tape hasn't entirely lived up to that expectation.
And he's hurt right now, too.
He's hurt right now. They have all these other guards that could follow him. I wouldn't be surprised if they are maybe this year they look internally for another starting guard, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a competition for left guard to start camp. And if next year maybe we're talking about starting guard as a need.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you said there were, like, flashes at the end right before he got hurt last year. I think it was, like, week 10 through 13, 14. He was
Something
playing
like that. Yeah.
really good football, but that's 3 or 4 games wherein, he struggled early in the year. He did miss all camp with the injury, so, he was kinda, like, fighting the injury while he came back. He didn't play well, but, like, the injuries, that's the big thing with him. He's already an
Right.
undersized guy, and now he can't stay on the field, and when he's on the field, it's been so rocky, so up and down. So, yeah, that was an interesting name he left off the list there, mentioning, the 3 rookies they had who, 2 of them barely played in Mafia and Andrews, but, leaves Cole Strange off that list. And again, he's hurt right now, so it seemed he was at offseason, he's been in the building for the offseason workouts, but his level of participation is kind of unknown. It was reported, back at the combine that he's probably gonna be missing out on some of the early stuff, so he might not even. We'll kind of see when he's even ready to be on the field. So that's an interesting name that kind of got left off that list there. But yeah, I agree. Like he said, we have NFL receivers, which they do, right? Like Pop Douglas, Kendrick
Yeah.
Bourne, AJ Osborne are NFL receivers, but they don't have that guy that can win on the backside, as he said. Like if you go 3-by-1, then you need that guy who can win, isolation on the boundary, and they don't have that, which is that skill set at that X spot that we've been, talking about so much with, the AD Mitchells, and those guys in this draft of this world. So, but I don't know.
AJ
That's
Brown.
AJ Brown, Tom Brady
Well,
fan, AJ
so
Brown.
did you see? Wait, he deleted the walkback tweet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like this tweet where he was like, "Oh, I've just been watching the Dynasty. This doesn't mean anything." He deleted that one.
Yeah.
Interesting. I did not see that.
So,
I don't know. I just
but
can't see
Tom Brady
Philly.
is still his AVI.
Okay. I just can't see Philly trading him, but I mean, I'd obviously take him. He's one of the best wide receivers and fits that kind of
He'd be
skill set,
you
body
trade
type you need.
34 for AJ Brown, take Drake May at the top of the draft, go get a maybe move up from 68, get a tackle. We're cooking now. Now
Yeah.
we got something. Now we're cooking with gas.
Yeah. That would be interesting. No, wouldn't say no to AJ Brown, that's for sure. But what if he brings Tom Brady with him?
I mean, now we're talking Super Bowl.
Do you want Tom Brady?
Of course.
We can talk about that quickly.
Of course. You're an idiot if you don't. From a fan point of view,
From a
he's the
fan
greatest to
point
ever
of
do
view,
it. I still think he'd be, one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the league. He'd be competitive. You'd get to watch greatness. From a media point, nothing they do, they could trade up to 1 and draft Caleb Williams. That would not draw the kind of attention to the team that Tom Brady's return would.
I
In
guess.
terms of
But
relevancy. No,
I mean,
I
like,
absolutely I'd want Tom Brady.
relevancy, yes, like obviously, but I don't know. Like, what's the point? He's gonna come and win 10, 11 games and then leave in a year or two, and now you're just gonna be even worse than you were before. Like, I don't know. I hate to say I don't want Tom Brady because I love Tom Brady, but I don't really see the point. I'm not I'm not the
Here's what I do.
big fan of it.
You get Tom Brady back, right? Number 3 pick now, that's Marvin Harrison.
Yep.
You trade 34 pick from next year, because now next year's picks are all later. You're going to be a playoff team. Move up, you get yourself a tackle. Go through this year, right? You got Marvin Harrison, you got a legit tackle, finish out the offensive line. Tom Brady, quarterback, great defense. He walks away. Yeah, 2025 is probably going to be rough. And now you're picking at the top of the board in 2026.
All right. I don't know. What's 2026 quarterback class looking like?
I don't know, but the point is you get what this 2024 season would be. Like, think about it. We're coming into this with 3 of the last 4 years being just bad, right? And I think that's why there's so much pressure on everything right now. If you go into that with, or maybe even in 2025, you take a quarterback later on, you have time to develop a guy. it's like, all right, we just had a great season with Tom Brady. Like, there's just less pressure there when you get to 2026. It's not going to happen. None of it matters. But
Yeah,
if I could get Tom Brady, I'm selling. I'm taking Marvin Harrison, moving up, taking a tackle. I'm going all out on building this team around Tom Brady this year. And then I'll see it for the draft in 2026.
you'll figure it all out later.
Right.
I just don't know. I don't know. I get it from like a relevant standpoint, like and you'd win games, but I just could kind of see it being like 2019 kind of all over again, and I don't know. It would be tough to say no to Tom, but just pick a quarterback. Get your next quarterback at 3 here, and let's move on. But back to what we were.
Let me ask you this. How many games do they win with Tom Brady as the quarterback? Assuming they figure out a number one receiver and tackle, which I think they could do if they had him on the roster. How many games do they win with Tom Brady in 2024?
Like 10 or 11.
Okay. Over the next 2 years, how many do they win with a rookie quarterback?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, if they get the right guy, obviously, I think they could be pretty competitive. Like, you can be competitive in games this year, and then
All
maybe
things considered, we know the odds of hitting on a quarterback. All things considered, how many games do they win over the next 2 years if they take a quarterback? All right, let me ask you.
maybe in the 12 to 15 range total.
Okay, so you're talking about the same number of wins in 2024 as you are over a 2-year span, and then either way, you head into the 2026 draft.
Or we could hit the quarterback now, win
Or you
7,
can
8
hit the
games
quarterback
this
now.
year, and then you win 10 or 11 games next year, and you're at the same point with
Sure.
a 25-year-old quarterback.
But you didn't get to relive the glory days of Tom Brady.
That's true. But we get to live the prime glory days of Drake May for the rest of his career in the ideal world.
Okay. All right. No, that's a fair argument. Like, I have no put. All right.
Yeah. All right.
I can allow myself to be delusional with this take because it's not going to happen. It's not going to matter.
That's true.
So I will let myself be delusional.
chance
Everybody knows I want them to take a quarterback at 3, no matter what. Stick and pick at Drake May. But if we're going to throw Tom Brady in the conversation, we're gonna go nuts. If we're really going to go nuts, let's go nuts.
I would say it would be funny to watch him throw to Marvin Harrison Jr. That would be awesome to see. But yeah, it's not going to happen. It's a fun hypothetical, but
right.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But yeah, back to this current Patriots roster. Wolf is a fan. He pumped up the offense a little bit. Chukwuekorfor, as you said, is the leader in the clubhouse. If a game was tomorrow, which Wolf said he hates saying, but then he said if a game's tomorrow, Chukwuekorfor is the left tackle. We've talked a lot about that. He played the position in college. That was 6 years ago, and he's only played right tackle in the NFL. Wolf said they did go back and look at his college film. They said, he's athletic enough. They think they can make that transition work. So that's where he's at left tackle. The receiver, again, he said they need that guy who can win ISO on the backside. So he was confident, pumped up his roster, but I think he'll tell us if he really means that in the draft, right? If they go out and they draft a offensive tackle in round 2 and a wide receiver in round 3, then, it was all just kind of media fodder to us.
Well, I mean, to be fair to Wolf, you are going to have a full draft. And I think part of your plan for supporting a rookie quarterback may be based on those other picks. That's a fair belief. So if he goes up there and says, yeah, we can support a rookie quarterback, knowing he's going to trade into the back end of the first round and take like Amarius Mims, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that.
That's true.
So for whatever that's worth, some people probably say making excuses, but the plan can include the draft. The plan for the quarterback can absolutely and should include the rest of the draft.
So would it worry you? I'm going to guess you're going to say yes to this, but would it worry you if, he says we love Chooks at left tackle, we love our wide receivers, and then they just kind of ignore the position and we get a a Frank Crum or Travis Glover in the
Yeah,
6th round. That's our only tackle. We get Bub Means in the 6th round. That's our only, players we like as a double dip option and a late
right.
round guy. Like that's the only guys they pick at those spots. And it's like, yeah, we really do love our NFL wide receivers. We really do love a core 4 and our 3 rookie guards. Like that would be kind of where the worrisome starts
So
to
what
up
you're
here.
saying is after taking a rookie quarterback, after drafting quarterback at the top, if they were to go like defensive lineman, running back, linebacker, safety, tackle, receiver, you're saying that wouldn't be a great idea, basically, is what you're asking me.
Yeah, I'm probably saying that.
All right. Yeah, I'm guessing you know where I got that random order of positions from.
It was last year's order, wasn't it?
Nope.
Say it again. Quarterback.
So after taking a quarterback, you're hoping
Oh,
to
is
be the
it
franchise. You go defensive lineman, running back, linebacker with a torn ACL, safety, offensive lineman, receiver to round out the draft.
the Mac draft?
Yes. That
Okay.
is, think about that. They drafted Mac Jones to a team that had a bad offense, trying to turn it around, and went defense, running back, injured defense, offensive lineman, receiver. William Sherman, Trey Nixon. That would be in your scenario, Frank Crum, Bub Means. Yes, I would be annoyed with that. I would not like that. That would be a bad draft. I mean, they got Drake May. It wouldn't be terrible, but like it's Groundhog's Day. Here we go, Groundhog Day. Here we go again. I've lived this before. I've seen this movie. No, thank you.
And at least with that one, not to give them an excuse, but at least you can say like they went out and spent all the money on offensive guys in free agency, right? Like they got
Sure. Yeah.
Aguilar
Aguilar,
in the
Bourne,
tight
Henry,
ends,
Jonnu. Yeah.
which like you still would have liked to see them like support that cast with a guy in the
Right.
draft, but like maybe you could see where they were coming from. This time they didn't really like they re-signed their own guys. They added Antonio Gibson, which is kind of a depth signing, but
KJ Osborne.
KJ Osborne, right? Like
Yeah.
now you go all in, you go get the wide receiver early, you get the offensive tackle early. Like you don't have the free agent class that you spent a lot of money to fall back on to go all other positions in the draft this time.
Yeah. But to answer your question, that would annoy me. It annoyed me the last time they did it. I did love the Barmore pick. To be honest, I
Yeah.
really liked that pick, but to not get a receiver in that, remember that draft was loaded at receiver. To not get a receiver until the 7th, and I think a tackle they were good. They still had Trent Brown, Michael Onwenu had just broken out, but to not get a receiver till the 7th round in that draft was bleh. And I didn't love the McGrone or Bledsoe picks either.
You didn't like Cam McGrone? He was going to be the guy.
I know yeah. So was Bledsoe. Bledsoe was going to be the next Patrick Chung.
Very true. At
A
least
year
he's still
after they
around.
drafted Kyle Duggar.
Yeah. All right. Very quickly, let's talk about our wonderful friends over at Prize Picks, which is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. You can get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money over on Prize Picks yet again, as you and the world's best players take on the game to a new level during the postseason. Playoffs begin tomorrow for our Boston Bruins and Sunday for the Boston Celtics at the Garden. But the play-ins, I believe there's one more play-in game tonight with the Bulls and the Heat, so you can get into the action early on that. There's something for every sports fan, from basketball and hockey to League of Legends and everything in between. Just pick your athletes. You can pick LeBron, he's still in there, or you can focus on the local guys, Jason Tatum, Jason Brown, Bruins goalies. I'm excited to pick more or less saves on the Bruins goalies. We'll see which ones are in net throughout the playoffs. They're still rotating, I believe. So head over to Prize Picks, download the app today, and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That is CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 over on Prize Picks. Speaking of the playoffs, very quickly, do you have predictions? I mean, Bruins get the Leafs. They avoided, I don't know if I want to say avoided Tampa, but they get the Leafs, and Celtics will either get the Bulls or a severely injured Miami Heat
Yeah.
team, so that one should hopefully wrap up quickly. But
I I think that the Bruins beat the Leafs. It's what they do. I don't know how much further they get than that, and I don't even know that it'll be an easy series, but I think they beat the Leafs. The Leafs are a regular season team. They are built to dominate the regular season. They're not a playoff team. They're not built for the physicality of it. I actually think the Pat Maroon edition kind of really helps the Bruins in this matchup. As for the Celtics, Bulls win tonight, and they get. I mean, that's a perfect. The in-season tournament couldn't have gone any better for them. Not that I think it means that much in the big picture. They're going to be fine either way, but they'll get to walk over a Bulls team that also was without its three best players. I think it's three best players. And
yeah,
meanwhile, the Bucks have to deal with the Sixers team that's been playing very well. So
without
they
Giannis for like 3 or 4 games, it sounds like.
right. So they get to beat each other up, or maybe even the Sixers, get there. The Heat, who are, the one team that really scared me for the Celtics. I mean, Jimmy Butler being out's different, but the one team that really scared me for the Celtics, they could be out. I feel pretty good about it. The Celtics should make the finals. 100%. Anything short of making the finals is a major disappointment. It is a championship or bust year, and
Yep.
to lose in the finals would also be disappointing. But I also think the Nuggets are a better team. And I don't know that they can beat the Nuggets in a 7-game series. There's two juggernauts in the NBA right now. That being said, the Nuggets have a much tougher path. The West is a gauntlet. The West is just loaded with talent. So if the Nuggets get knocked out, go start picking out your spot for the parade. That's kind of where I'm at with it, but I don't think the Nuggets are getting knocked out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they should walk. I think anything we like to say championship or bust for the Celtics because they've been so dominant, but I agree, like, the Nuggets are such a good team. You gotta just at least get there, right? Like, there's no excuse to lose in the Eastern Conference if you're, the Celtics, especially with these injuries and the path you're getting. For the Bruins, like, they should beat the Leafs. I'm always worried that, like, water's gonna find its level eventually, and they're gonna actually beat us once. Kinda like I felt that same way with the Celtics and Sixers and thought it might actually happen last year that, like, one time they're gonna luck into beating the Boston team, but then, like, the Leafs won the first round last year. Like, what are the chances the Leafs win a first round 2 years in a row? That's not gonna happen. So, with their bottom 6, their D, and their goaltending, the Leafs, like, it's not very impressive. The Bruins should win that. Wouldn't be surprised if it still goes, like, 6 or 7, but, uh, yeah, I'll take the Bruins in that one. Hopefully, it'd be interesting to see, the goalie situation too. It says they have a plan. I don't know if that's just a strict rotation, but
Right.
that'll be fun to watch. So that kicks off Bruins Saturday, Celtics on Sunday.
Yeah. Also
Very
got to check
happy.
out Celtics. Joe Mazzulla's on Pardon My Take today.
Oh yeah, I saw some clips. I didn't get to the full interview
I
yet.
haven't
So
gotten to listen to it yet. Shout out Mr. Pear, though.
Mr. Pear, Mr. Pear.
That's one of the funniest bits they've ever done. And it's
He's
only a
yeah,
day old, but it's especially now that Big Cat hates him. Oh, he's a
because
money
he
line
lost.
turtle. It's not his
Yeah.
fault they didn't know he's a money line turtle.
Did they release his? Well, I mean, I guess it's in the podcast, but did they release his pick for tonight? They said had
I
a
haven't
pick
I haven't
from.
looked at.
Uh, all right, that will be interesting. But yeah, I'm just happy we don't have any playoff games during the draft.
Yeah,
Like,
that I don't think that's ever
huge.
happened as long as I've been covering the draft. I mean,
Yeah,
none, any of the three, no overlap. The Celtics, what sucks is it means they're both playing up against
Saturday.
each other. I think Wednesday too, right? They're both playing Wednesday night.
Bruins are. Oh yeah, they both are.
That's why you have, I mean, I have two TVs for this exact
Multiple
reason
screens.
in college football Saturday. It's not, no, some people think double screen is like screen laptop. I got a second TV and they're stacked. So it's one and then the other. Um, so those are going to work out. But I don't know that I've ever, not having a game the night of the first rounds happened or like one of them, whatever. But Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday during the day, nothing, all draft, baby. Love it.
I know. Last year we had, I think it was Game 6 for the Bruins on day 2 of the draft, and it was like a 6-5 game. They lost, and it was like the Jake DeBrusk hand pass game. It was like a pure
Yeah.
chaos hockey game, and then you have the Patriots just picking all these defensive players over here, and you're like, this is a mess. So
I
it'll be
remember
nice
there was
not to have that.
this would have been I think 21. the 21 draft. Yeah, it would have been the 21 draft. Where it was day 2. I think it was a play-in game for the Celtics. I think the draft was early that year. And Jason Tatum scored like 50-something points. And people were just tweeting the number of points Tatum had. They're like, we're at 41, we're at 42 while the draft was going on. And it was like syncing up with the pick almost, but like not exactly. And it was making it really hard on Twitter to keep up with where we were in the draft. I remember I think that I feel like they were playing the Spurs. So no, it wouldn't have even been a play-in. Maybe the draft was like super early that year. I don't know, but I'm gonna look. Yeah, I'm glad to not have to deal with that this year. I'm glad is both. This isn't even me being selfish, like, oh, the playoffs don't matter. All that matters is the draft. This is also me as a Bruins and Celtics fan being like, all right, another funny story while we're doing this. The 2022, what year they played the Bucks in the first round in 22, right? The Celtics did.
Yes, I believe so.
So we go through the draft, right? And it's Thursday night, late night into Friday, early morning. Got to get up, do this show, be on the radio. Friday night, late night, early morning, Saturday, full day of draft. Sunday morning, I was doing Sunday football show with Ted Johnson. So I've slept like 8 hours in the last like three and a half days. And the draft gets done. I tweet out like, hey, thanks to everybody for following. And everybody's like, yeah, you get to go to sleep now. I'm like, nope. Got to go watch the Celtics. Me and my buddy went to a bar. They were on the road. So me and my buddy went to a bar down by the Garden. I fell asleep at the bar. So not having to deal with that this year. I probably won't go out for the Saturday night games, but not having to deal with that this year is
nice.
Definitely a plus.
Yeah, because drafts, they're long nights. They're long nights. They wrap up late. So it's nice not having to
and some early mornings. It was
yeah.
Oh no, it was against Brooklyn. It was in the first round of the playoffs. Tatum scored. It was the one game they won in that series. Tatum scored 50 against Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's nice as.
No, wait. Oh, I know what this was. I found it. That was because that game was in May. This was the year that because of the pandemic, they spaced the season out.
They were in. Oh, so it was like that weird pandemic tournament.
Yeah,
he scored.
No. It was 21, but they started.
Okay.
They finished the finals.
They started late.
21 in like July, so they didn't start till I think like January that year. They started Christmas, and so it was a regular season game on April 30th against the Spurs. Okay. Tatum scored 60. That's what it was.
That makes sense. Yep, but. Yeah, glad the schedule worked out from, having to cover the draft and then just being a fan of like the other teams. Right. You don't have to overlap all of it. It'll be nice. And hopefully we get some wins and good draft picks out of it. So we're just not
Let the Red Sox be the disappointment that weekend. You can pencil them in for that. And
let's get the vibes high for everyone else. Let's get some success there. But
exactly.
I guess just anything else from Eliot Wolf that you had? The only other kind of little note I had was, speaking of those receivers, he was asked what happened with the Calvin Ridley pursuit, and he just said, someone offered more money. That was pretty easy response based off the other response we heard about the Calvin Ridley pursuit. Right. That was the easier way to say that. But any other kind of notes or things that stood out to you from Wolf yesterday?
No, that was pretty much it.
Yeah,
I think that's it. We're on to the draft.
We're on to the draft. So next Tuesday, we will be back. We will do our last final mock draft 6.0 live right here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications, follow Patriots at CLNS on Twitter. We will let you know when we're going to go live for that. Again, that is Tuesday. I don't believe no playoff games that night either because they're playing Wednesday. So that works out nicely for that as well. So that will be Tuesday, 6.0 mock draft. And then we will be back a week from today, probably right around this time on Friday, to discuss what went down in the first round, talk about whatever new player or players are on the Patriots. But in the meantime, you can follow Alex on Twitter at Real Alex Barth. Head over to 985thesportshub.com to read his Patriots and draft coverage. You can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines and go to patspulpit.com to read our draft coverage over there as well. Thank you all for tuning in with us early this morning. Have a wonderful weekend. Go Bruins, go Celtics, and we will see you guys next week.